Welcome back to the Brojo Online Podcast. Today we're going to talk about how to win at everything. Number 4, or whatever the fuck we're up to. I'm going to stop counting because I didn't write down the numbers in my notes. Serve consistently, give freely. Most people trying to succeed focus on taking. They try to get something from someone else. They try to acquire results for themselves and resources for themselves. Ironically, in my experience, the most successful approach is to do the exact opposite. Give. Give surprisingly more than others give. And this is not the same as self-sacrifice. Okay, so self-sacrifice is where it hurts you to give, and it's this kind of martyrdom, victim-hero thing that you're doing. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is finding a way to enjoy giving so it's a reward for you as well. When I first started coaching, I used to try and get clients. Whenever I reached out to someone, I was always with this kind of intention of basically them becoming a client, which really means their money coming into my bank account. It was a very needy approach. I mean, obviously I wanted to do more good than that, but when you're struggling to pay the rent, it kind of clouds your thinking. I switched to this new approach after some great coaching I received, where when I wanted to reach out to someone, I made them a custom video that solved a problem that they had, and I sent it to them without even asking them a question. Nothing that might elicit a response. No pressure on them to reciprocate, nothing. It was just freely given. I used to do 10 of these a day. I just find someone who was struggling or someone who's trying to achieve a goal, and I just send them my thoughts and ideas as to what might help them in a personalized video. And nobody does this. I don't know why nobody does this in business. It's such a great approach. These people are like, holy shit, this dude made me a fucking video. They'd open the video suspiciously, and then they'd see me say their name and talk about their specific life, and it'd just blow their mind. Oh my god, he made a 10-minute video just for me. I don't even know this guy. And they would watch. Now, not all of them would watch, but some of them would. And some of them ended up becoming clients. Enough of them that I coach full-time for a living. I give surprisingly more than others. If you're on LinkedIn and you receive messages, most of them are just thinly veiled attempts to get something from you. If someone was to actually give freely to you in one of those messages, it would stand out amongst all the noise, all the crap and neediness that's on there. The same applies to anything else. Dating, for example. You can go out there and try to get laid or whatever, or you can go out there and try to make someone's day better. You can go out there and try to surprise them with restoring their faith in humanity, that there are some good people out there. You can try and do that instead, try and give to them, and you will stand out. So not only do you get to enjoy giving, it works out best for you in the long run. And of course you develop a reputation, you develop an overall sense that this is a very giving person. If I get in contact with Dan, it's going to be good for me. And if that's your reputation, life becomes very effortless for you. Next tip, shoot out of your league. Stop going for the easy thing that you know you can get, and go for the ridiculous thing that you really don't think you can get. The kind of thing that it would be worth it even if you only had a 1% success rate. Right? Think like that. What's the thing that if somebody said yes just 1 times out of 100, it would be worth the other 99 times? The other 99 rejections. What does that look like? In dating life, does that mean going after the people that you're most attracted to in this world? In your business, does it mean reaching out to the highest level podcasts and asking to be a guest? What is it? Because that's what happened to me, actually, in a number of ways. But one thing that happened to me when I was in Department of Corrections was applying for the service manager role way before I'm kind of deemed to be ready for it. I lost out 3 times because, it was ridiculous that I was applying for it, but the 3rd time I got the job. It only took 3. And I became the youngest service manager, at least that I had ever heard of. Right? Every time I went for it, I learned something, I adjusted my approach, I went for it again. And this is the thing, if you keep going for it, you will get some feedback. I mean, if you're applying for something that's way out of your league, you're going to not get feedback a lot of the time. You won't even get a response. But when you do, you'll get a little something you can use. Like I said, what would be worth 99 failures? Because tell you what, if you try for something out of your league 99 times, you're pretty much guaranteed to get it that 100th time and probably sooner. Next tip, quality over quantity. Most people want a high quality life, and yet they go for a high quantity approach. For example, somebody wants a great partner, a high quality partner, but they date a lot of people. That's a quantity approach. Or they try to get laid as often as possible. That's a quantity approach. Somebody wants to be totally free in their lifestyle, but they try to make as much money as possible. That's a quantity approach, not a quality one. A quality approach, if you want to be free, would be working on your mind so that you feel free all the time. Doesn't matter how much money you got in the bank. If you need money to feel free, then you're not really free. You're imprisoned by money. You have financial constraints. If you can travel just within your hometown, then you don't need to fly around the world to be able to travel, and so on. What does quality look like? Quality looks like less quantity, doesn't it? It's 5 good friends instead of 100 associates, right? It's 2 amazing clients rather than 100 crappy clients that cause lots of complaints. It's about doing a few exercises that are ideal for building your body rather than spending 3 hours at the gym. Okay? Always ask yourself, what's the quality approach that creates high quality results, not what's the quantity approach that creates high quantity results. There's an exception to this, and this is in creative production. Perfectionism is probably the number one barrier to creatives pulling stuff out there. And here's where I actually recommend a quantity approach, because it actually is a quality approach. What I mean is pump stuff out. If you're an artist, keep painting. Pump out painting after painting after painting, because you're developing your quality as an artist by doing that. Like me, I just pump out video after video, podcast after podcast. I don't push that much thought into them. I learn a little bit off each one and improve the next time and just pump them out. I'm not trying to create a quantity. I actually delete videos or hide them when I think they're just bullshit. It's about practice. Lots and lots of practice, right? So if you're an artist or a creative type, you want to be pumping stuff out rather than trying to do everything perfect. You want to have 1,000 things in the bin just to create one thing that you'll keep on the wall. Next tip, figure out what good enough means. What some people would call the maximum efficiency point. Now this is where the amount that you've done or the level of quality that you've achieved is enough to meet the standard or achieve the goal that you're trying to achieve. What this means is anything more than that is waste. Okay? So people who try to do things perfectly are usually doing it 30, 40, 50% more than it needs to be done. Great example of this is working out. You know, there's some really rock solid science now that shows that short, high intensity workouts, very specific, slow, painful reps are the way to go. Whereas most guys go and spend hours and hours at the gym and they hit their maximum efficiency point early on, and after that they're just injuring themselves. You know, there's a lot of science now to show that if you're sore the next day after a workout, you did too much. That's what that means. You actually create inflammation, which attracts fat. So you're actually doing yourself a disservice if you're trying to look good, at least. But you're going the longest, slowest way to achieving your goal fitness-wise with big, long workouts. What most fitness experts nowadays will tell you is a short, sharp workout a couple of times a week is more efficient than spending half your life at the gym. This kind of thing applies all across the board. You might be thinking of the perfect thing to say to the person you're attracted to, when actually hi is enough. Just get in there and say, hi, how's it going? And you're away running. You don't need to be more impressive than that to get the conversation started. So why would you think anything beyond that? Usually just showing up's enough, making yourself known, and let the conversation roll out authentically. Start to figure out what's the minimum I need to do to achieve the short-term goal of whatever it is I'm trying to achieve. And then aim to only reach that minimum and not go beyond it. Think of anything beyond it as wastage that you want to conserve for something better. Next tip. The most likely person to have sex with you is somebody you've already had sex with. The best clients are repeat clients. The best business is repeat business. Often people feel urged to constantly find new all the time. Like if they're traveling, they always try to go to a new country. If they're dating, they always try to date new people. Or they're making friends, they try to meet new people. They're trying hobbies, they always try lots of different things. When actually what you'll find is the most enjoyable and rewarding stuff is something you've already done and need to do again and go deeper with. I've found that like my coaching business now, about 80% of my clients are repeat clients now. I'm actually looking forward to a time in the future where there is nobody new, essentially. I just keep repeating with people I've already worked with. It's better to spend 3 hours with a great friend than 3 hours trying to find new friends. It's better to return to the country that was your most enjoyed to visit than to try in lots of different countries all the time. I'm not saying that new is always wrong. What I'm saying is you've probably already found a lot of good stuff, and you should be doubling down on that rather than trying to find new stuff and trying to fix something that isn't broken. Next tip. As soon as you've learned about how to do anything to some degree of competency, try to teach it. There's almost nothing I've found more humbling and more helpful for learning than trying to teach something you think you know. If you can't teach it, you don't really know it. And as you learn how to teach it, you actually learn the thing properly yourself. Like I got into teaching salsa dancing shortly after I'd won a couple of competitions, but I wasn't an expert. I didn't have all my shit sorted. But I knew enough to get a beginner off the ground. And what I found trying to teach beginners is sometimes I didn't know how to explain to them what they needed to do. I could do it, but I couldn't explain it, which meant I didn't really know how I did it. So in teaching, I had to learn how I did it so I could pass that information on to someone else. And that made me so much better at doing it. Because a lot of the time you're good at something by a kind of luck. You don't really know how to repeat that or transfer it to other areas of your life. But if you try to teach it, you'll quickly figure out if the other person picks it up or not, and if they don't, then you don't really understand it, and you need to dive deeper into it. It also helps with giving back. If you constantly give back what you've got, as soon as it comes to you, it goes to somebody else. It also helps to that overall giving reputation and way of living that's so rewarding. You feel like you're just this vessel that, good stuff passes through onto other people. You're like a distributor of good stuff, and that creates a really good feeling about yourself. And if that isn't success, I don't know what is. Next point, connect with high quality people and serve them. The best way to create high quality connections, people who are like way above you in whatever grade you want to think of, is to make their life better, not to try and get from them. I quite often get requests for people to be on my podcast, even though I'm not a big deal. But the requests are so needy, like, here's a guy who's you've never heard of, can he promote his stuff on your podcast? I'm like, no, he can't. It really stands out to me because when I reach out to someone, I try to give to them. I've got a great story. I was on the Art of Charm podcast back when I was hosted by Jordan Harbinger. And I got in touch with him, and I can't remember exactly what I did, but I tried to serve him. I shared his podcast around with my minuscule little audience at the time, and just gave him lots of compliments on what he was doing and just basically tried to improve his day. And he responded by inviting me onto his podcast, which was at the time like the biggest thing I'd ever done, and it just doubled my business overnight. I wasn't trying to achieve that, I was trying to serve him. The same thing happened with my book publisher. I reached out to him to thank him for his book that he had written. Next thing I know, he's publishing my book, So always try to serve the people above you rather than try and get something from them. They never get this from people below them. They always get people trying to take. When they get someone trying to give, it stands out. They do notice. And it also makes them go, this guy's special. He gets it. I'm like this guy. And they connect with that. Make sure your goals are really long term. 10, 20, 30 years type thing. If your goals are short, like I want this really soon, then you're going to probably engage in an inefficient or unsustainable practice. But if your goals are way into the future and you have to live a certain way consistently, small pieces at a time, cumulative build-up, you're more likely to create a sustainable way of living that feels successful before you ever achieve the goal. Think of it like investing. I do this with my investment portfolio. I've aimed for the long term. I'm not fast day trading or cryptocurrency like binging, trying to make quick money. I'm doing the long, steady index fund, diverse portfolio with different things in case anything falls down, including my own business as part of that, I guess. And I'm just looking to become a multi-millionaire in like 30 years, which I'm looking pretty good for at the moment. I get a 13% average return on my investments, doing it the slow, mixture of risk, moderately safe way, the boring way that actually works based on all the expert advice, right? Building a business, building a social life, if you think more like in 10 years, this is where I want to be, not this is where I want to be right now because I'm desperate. you're more likely to engage in sort of longer, more boring, but more successful strategies that create a high quality of life, and they build as you go. So as you get to see your bank account slowly getting bigger, and as you get to see your social circle just improving in quality, or you get to see your strength going up a little bit every week, it's like, all right, and then you get to feel like that all the time. It's like, and I built some more, and I built some more. Not like quick rush and then crash, and then start from zero again.